Yes!
With the release of Season of the Undying, the very befitting Undying title made its debut, and today's topic are the two triumphs known as Dark Side of the Moon and Crater Spark, which are both required to be completed in order to acquire the Undying title. So without further ado, let's get it in. Kicking things off, both of these triumphs require you to kill enemies on Earth's moon with your abilities. You'll need 300 melee kills, 300 super kills, and 400 grenade kills. The Dark Side of the Moon triumph requires all of these ability kills to be void damage, whereas the Crater Spark triumph requires them all to be arc. Once again, these kills will only count if you're on Earth's moon, the Vex Offensive, or the Garden of Salvation raid. Pursue each step of these two triumphs one at a time, and do your best to try to increase your intellect, discipline, and strength stats as high as you can. When going for super kills, load your armor up with intellect mods, discipline mods for your grenade cooldown, and strength mods for your melee. The higher the numbers are for each stat, the faster your abilities will recharge. Again, I will focus on these one at a time, so don't overwhelm yourself with going for high intellect and strength at the same time, for example. Focus on the super kills first, then melee kills, if that would be the case. Out of all the ability kills, I originally was having the most difficulty with the melee kills, but there is a little trick that you can do to make them a lot easier. These will only count if you're killing enemies with your charge melee, so if your melee is on cooldown, you won't get progress for this portion of the triumph. However, if you have a sword equipped that has no ammo and your melee is fully charged, you can literally help beat enemies to death and every kill will count as a melee ability kill. The only catch is that your current equipped sword has to match the element of your subclass. Right now, go to your collections, grab the blue sword known as Future Imperfect and a green sword known as Nasreddin. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah, Future Imperfect deals void damage and Nasreddin deals arc. If I have to explain that further, if you're going for void ability melee kills, make sure you have the Future Imperfect or any void damage sword with no ammo equipped while your melee is fully charged. And the same applies for equipping Nasreddin or any sword that deals arc damage while your arc melee ability is fully charged. Pay attention to the moments where you might kill an enemy and they'll drop heavy ammo, because kills made with swords while they have ammo won't count as melee ability kills. You might have to hit every enemy with your sword hilt twice for them to die, but it's a lot easier than waiting for your melee to recharge. This method does work for all characters, and that was the method I had to resort to being a Warlock player because of the fact that the Warlock class doesn't have a strong emphasis on melee abilities. There are alternatives such as the Claws of Ahamkara, but trust me, the hilt beating method is a lot faster. Before I get into the other classes, do yourself a favor and equip the exotic helmet known as Chrono Tempest when you're going for your arc ability kills. This exotic is heaven sent because its perk conduction times reduces the cooldown of your arc abilities when you get arc ability kills. It'll also make your Storm Trance super last a lot longer. This helmet made the Crater Spark triumph incredibly easy and a lot less time consuming, but if you end up being stuck on the arc grenade kills for some reason, the exotic Warlock Gauntlet known as Getaway Artist allows you to consume an arc grenade and summon an arc buddy similar to that of Bottom Tree Stormcaller, but kills from the arc buddy from Getaway Artist count as grenade kills. The exotic Warlock helmet known as Nezarec Sin does almost the exact same thing as Chrono Tempest, except you'll be using it as a Void Walker. Nezarec Sin will recharge your void abilities and super when you deal void damage from anything. Literally, it can be void damage from your weapons. So while you're hilt beating enemies to death with a void damage sword with no ammo and a fully charged melee, Nezarec Sin's Abyssal Extractor perk is working its magic to recharge your void abilities, and the more void kills your abilities get, the faster your abilities recharge. Now I tried all three trees of Void Walker, but I had the best success with Middle Tree for the grenades and super kills. All I did was run around killing trash mobs and handheld supernova, followed by multiple groups of enemies with Nova Ward. Top Tree Void Walker worked decently as well, especially when you factor in the void detonations that enemies cause when killed by your void abilities. These detonations will make short work of tightly grouped together adds, and Slover Bomb just ruins everything it touches, and I don't even really need to explain what that does. If you're a Titan, you can use an insurmountable skull fort with Top Tree Fist of Havoc to run around shoulder charging everybody and instantly getting your melee charge back after a successful kill. Luckily, an insurmountable skull fort also works well with Middle Tree Fist of Havoc too, so if you prefer this method, have fun dive bombing enemies to death, because the ballistic slam will create a small shockwaves upon impact with the ground and can kill several red bar enemies at once. Again, just make sure if you're going to be dive bombing in the groups of enemies, at least one of them dies from it, because if everyone survives, you won't instantly have your melee charge refunded. And if you don't want to use the sword method as a Titan for the void melee kills, you're more than welcome to use Bottom Tree Sentinel's shield bash ability. For the void grenade kills, you'll want to equip the exotic chest armor known as Armamentarium, equip the magnetic grenades, and select Middle Tree Sentinel. Magnetic grenades naturally explode twice, but Middle Tree Sentinel's controlled demolition perk attaches void detonators to enemies afflicted by your void damage. So you'll get 2 explosions from the magnetic grenade and 1 explosion for every enemy hit by a void detonator. Watch this. I never get tired of seeing this. For the super kills, you'll have a very easy and fun time with the Doomfang Pauldrons and Bottom Tree Sentinel. This super can last almost forever, provided that you're hitting enemies with your shield bash during the super, then following up with a shield throw. Bottom Tree Sentinel gives you 2 shield throw charges, which makes the super kills significantly easier. If you decide to use Armamentarium for the arc grenade kills, you can do that too, but Top Tree Striker's Magnitude perk gives you 2 grenade charges with increased duration effects. So I would highly suggest going that route and using pulse grenades. For the arc super kills, use Bottom Tree Striker. Even after the most recent nerf, Bottom Tree Striker is still amazing due to its trample perk, which will increase the duration of your super after getting kills with your super. Be advised that using a slam attack will consume a lot of super energy, so stick to using a shoulder charge instead, since it doesn't consume nearly as much super energy. Now for the hunters, kills with smoke bomb are the only way to net yourself some void melee kills. But for arc melee kills, I found out that Middle Tree Arc Strider's Tempest Strike was incredibly helpful. Something very helpful about the hunter class is that you can use Gambler's Dodge next to an enemy and your melee ability will be completely refunded, meaning that you can get into a rhythm of using your melee ability, dodging next to an enemy, use your melee ability again, dodging, rinse and repeat. For the arc grenade kills, you'll come to realize that the grenades for the hunter class have little to no usefulness in PvE. But the exotic chest armor Lucky Raspberry will increase the chaining capabilities of your arc bolt grenades and completely refund your grenade energy after a full chain. The exotic gauntlets, known as Shinobu's Vow, grants an extra skit grenade charge, but skit grenades aren't something that I would ever advise for PvE, so try this method at your own risk. Now void grenade kills for the hunter class are very simple to get if you use the exotic leg armor Orpheus Riggs in combination with the void wall grenades and Top Tree Night Stalker. You'll want to tether a group of enemies and throw your grenade at them. Killing a tethered enemy will cause the other tethered enemies to die from shared damage, and this shared damage will all count as grenade kills. Now for the super kills, you'll want to use the Righten Flux and Gwison Vest. Righten Flux's exotic perk increases the duration of the Arc Staff super and damage output after killing enemies with the Arc Staff. With Righten Flux equipped, you'll easily mow down groups of trash mobs. Gwison Vest will return some of your super energy after every successful Spectral Blades kill before going into stealth. Now Gwison Vest isn't as viable as it used to be, but anything that assists with return of super energy is ideal for this part of the Dark Side of the Moon triumph. The newly buffed Bottom Tree Night Stalker is a decent option as well, but I highly suggest equipping the exotic leg armor Orpheus Riggs to give yourself more Mobius Quiver shots. I stated earlier that your progress will only count in Vex Offensive, Earth's Moon, and the Garden of Salvation raid, but I quickly realized that Lost Sectors serve as the easiest kill farming spots. Most specifically, the K1 Logistics Lost Sector in the Archer's Line, and the K1 Revelation Lost Sector found in Sorrow's Harbor. Both of these Lost Sectors are abundant with ads, especially K1 Revelation, which has a bunch of hive within the first couple of seconds of entering the Lost Sector. So if you don't want to complete the entire Lost Sector, you could kill the enemies in the beginning, leave, then re-kill them again, then leave, and yeah, you kind of get it from there. Okay everybody, that does it for this one. I hope you found this guide helpful. In the comment section, tell me how close you are to getting the Undying title, and if you're watching this video after season of the Undying concluded, tell me how you feel about certain titles being available only for a particular season. If you made it to the end of this video and found it to be useful, do me a favor and thumb wrestle that like button till it turns blue. And if you're new to my neck of the woods, subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you don't ever miss a video of the most elite gaming content. But with that being stated, 1LHD is over and out. Y'all take it easy.